Other people's opinions of you have absolutely not a damn thing to do with you and who you are, unless you let them. What's up, guys, and welcome back to Just Another Light, where we stay shining bright and drowning out the darkness. This one's going to be on killing the old you and some techniques and tips that I've learned along the way of trying to create this process for myself. Um, Probably the first one that I started with was removing people and places and activities out of my life that weren't taking me in the direction that I wanted to go. Um, Started by stopping going to the bar, stopping going to parties, stopped going to friends' houses where there was a lot of temptations of things to do. And that stuff was hard to do. It was really hard to do. All my best friends were just, kind of taking it personally, and when it had nothing to do with them and everything to do with me. But that's understandable. I get it because I had been on that side of it before I woke up and decided to start making changes. And it's that's a natural thing. And I don't have any hard feelings about it whatsoever. I'm extremely thankful for the way all of that went. And I definitely see the value in everything that happened along the way, and how I wouldn't be here where I'm at now without it. Um, but I think that's the first thing to start with is removing yourself from toxic situations and places and people, and trying to build relationships, new relationships with people who are working on themselves and trying to do some good in the world, and or just being the person that you want to be, whatever that may consist of. Um, so that's really the first one, and then the next thing that I just recently started working on was actually removing things that remind me of my old self, which can be all sorts of stuff. I mean, it can be clothes, it can be items in your house, um, all sorts of things. For me, I just started getting rid of all of my little. I had a bunch of different things. I used to have a little mini refrigerator, a little Miller Lite mini refrigerator in here. I got rid of because I just don't want. I don't want anything reminding me of alcohol. It's not that I'm trying to ignore the fact that it exists. It's just that that's like a part of the old me that is no longer in my experience. And so, anyways, I've just been getting rid of all sorts of stuff. I threw away my this certificate. It's called a Wild Well Control certificate. It's something that I was very proud of, and that I earned in the oil field while getting my drilling position. I had to have it. It's just all about safety of the well and what to do in a situation and everything. But it consists of a whole lot of math, a lot of college level math. I was told I'd never be able to do. I graduated from an alternative high school with my highest level of mathematics being seventh grade. Um, and I was told all throughout my childhood that I was had mental disabilities, and that I would always struggle with learning and doing math and stuff. And then even past my drilling, once I left the drilling company that I was with, I went with a directional drilling company, and I was doing trigonometry and all sorts of stuff. Um, so that just right there just goes to show, like, other people's opinions don't have shit to do with you. And I'm just going to read some stuff. This is from a psychologist when I was in elementary school. Brett was referred for a psychological evaluation. Apparently I was an asshole when I was really young. I don't really remember it, but I know that I was an asshole when I got older, but maybe this is where it started. I don't know. Appears to lack motivation, does not admit to misbehavior, seems manipulative in his behavior, Is a bright child, but appears forgetful. Frequently butts heads with his teacher. Easily distracted. Doesn't like to write. Possesses in-depth cognitions, but tends to refuse to write his thoughts down on paper, and attempts to negotiate with the teacher about this requirement. Brett has received numerous office referrals this year for such behaviors as not attempting to do his work, inappropriate hallway behavior, squirting glue at another student, throwing marshmallows, spitting on 2 students, which, I mean, I don't know. I was in 3rd grade. I feel like a lot of kids are trying to figure stuff out and they're assholes, and I was picked on a lot. That I do remember all the way from elementary school. I was picked on. Right now I'm 6'7", 145 pounds. I don't know. I've always been super skinny my whole life, and I got picked on all the way up through high school. But anyways, Brett often argues, exhibits poor organizational skills, which, I mean, I'm still kind of unorganized, but I'm working on it. Becomes frustrated and or angry when he is unable to complete something which he perceives that he can do. The mother reported that she is concerned that Brett is in special education with instructional modifications, yet is still failing, and frequently in trouble at school. Brett reportedly manifested a normal temperament during early childhood until he developed meningitis. When Brett was 4 years of age, he was diagnosed with meningitis, experienced severe seizures, and was hospitalized for 5 days. He reportedly improved after several weeks. Mother stated that after this, Brett began to exhibit periodic temper tantrums and a strong desire to have his own way. During kindergarten, Brett experienced difficulty on certain language arts and mathematics. Even though I learned trigonometry basically on myself, I actually used YouTube to learn a lot of the stuff that I used in directional drilling, because the guys that I worked with didn't want to explain it to me because I was too young to be a directional driller. And was placed on Ritalin during 1st grade. 1st grade. Put on amphetamines in 1st grade. He remained on Ritalin for approximately 3 to 4 months, but he reportedly developed side effects. Imagine that. Thus, this medication was terminated. Doctor then reportedly prescribed tofranil, which was another amphetamine. Approximately 2 months after, the medication was terminated because of excessive side effects. Which just, I mean, what do you expect? Possessed learning disabilities, behavior difficulties. Brett was spacing out. Doctor recommended that he administer EEG and was diagnosed with possessing a seizure disorder and prescribed Tegretol. Let's pump some more pharmaceuticals in. Let's get this figured out, huh? Diagnosis of attention deficit disorder, symptoms of oppositional defiance, and an anxiety disorder. Cognitive disorder, NOS, seizure disorder. So I got another EEG later on and reported that I continued to have an abnormality in the right temporal area, which is why they thought that I had a seizure disorder in the first place. So then they placed me on another prescription called Cylert. At that point in time, after approximately 1 month on this medication, the mother stated that one night she could not wake Brett up and his eyes were rolled back behind the eyelids. The doctor recommended he go to the hospital. No shit. And Brett was hospitalized for 4 days, where the physicians concluded through an EEG assessment that there were no signs of a seizure disorder, and they believed that Brett never possessed a seizure disorder. He was taken off of all medication at that point. Thank God. This is another psychologist that did another report. My impression is that Brett has a learning disability and a possible history of seizures, as well as a Marfanoid appearance. Marfan syndrome is Abe Lincoln disease. It's where your heart grows really fast or something like that. It makes you have an elongated body. Just more bullshit. Significant degree of anxiety and depression, oppositional behavior, hyperactivity, emotional overindulgence, daydreamer, inattentive. And the rest of it's just more bullshit. Significant level of depressive symptomology. Brett stated that he worries about what other people think about him. He stated, like, I'm stupid. Imagine that. You're putting me in all of these special education classes instead of figuring out what the issue is. Possesses self-doubt. Peers in his neighborhood tease him. May display self-doubt regarding his intellectual ability, and he presently and or in the past possessed a fear of dying during the nocturnal hours. Difficulty expressing his true inner emotions to others. I just found this the other day. I was digging through a whole bunch of old stuff to get rid of things that were anchoring me to this past me. Brett is likely to evidence distractibility, poor sustained attention, daydream behavior, difficulty listening attentively to directions, and forgetfulness. Problematic behavior, impulsivity, and a degree of motorical overactivity, i.e. fidgeting, making noises, may be exhibited. He will in all likelihood argue at times with teachers, demonstrate a low tolerance to frustration to some degree, be non-compliant to teacher directions, and intermittently lose his temper. A lack of motivation, task avoidant behavior, and poor task completion may be continued to manifest. So they just pumped my parents full of this shit, or my mom mostly, which she continued to pump me full of it. And so I just created this reality, and where I had hell in school. I was constantly defiant. I constantly didn't want to do my work. So I just got bumped down in classes lower and lower and lower until the point to where I got to my sophomore year and they didn't even have classes low enough for me. And so then I ended up having to go to an alternative school for a mixture of my behavior and my amount of referrals, and for the fact that they didn't have classes at a low enough education level at the school for me. Man, I'm super thankful for all that stuff. But anyways, my point in this is that other people's opinions of you, no matter how qualified they may be, they don't have shit to do with you. And they don't make who you are. You make who you are by your daily thoughts and your beliefs and your actions. And you can change that at any time you want to. A belief is just a thought that you think over and over. So all you have to do to change your beliefs is change your thoughts. And once you change your thoughts and you change your beliefs, and then you change your reality. Oh, I also have freaking featured felony freaking news clipping that I kept because I was proud of being a badass. You know, always getting in trouble and out on the run and all this bullshit. And but anyways, I'm gonna go burn all this shit and continue killing the old me and birthing the new me, and I encourage you to do the same. I love you so much. Thank you for the work you're doing. I'll see you on the next